My friend, it's time, it's time for you and I to stop accept what does not belong to us. The Lord wants to be good to you. He wants his goodness to overtake you. He wants his goodness to flow through your life. But you keep accepting what does not belong to you. You keep coming into agreement with what does not belong to you. The Lord did not say that about you. The Lord did not say that. And here you are accepting it nonetheless. Many of us as believers are out here wishing when the Lord is saying, but I've given you promises that are to be fulfilled over your life. You don't have to wish for it. Promises are there. Believer, stop accepting certain things over your life. Stop coming into agreement with what the Lord didn't say. Some relationships, some jobs, some opportunities, some situations we find ourselves in, some places that we find ourselves in, some lifestyle that we're now practicing. Hello, stop accepting what doesn't belong to you. No wonder why you feel out of place. No wonder why you feel so confused, because you are accepting what does not belong to you. When your good Father has good gifts for you, you're over there accepting what does not belong to you. I'm coming out very strong for someone this morning who keeps accepting what doesn't belong to them. Hello, that is not yours. That's not your portion, but you keep coming into agreement with it. You keep going back into it. You keep agreeing with it. Every time you come out, you go back in. Stop accepting what doesn't belong to you. And you know this. You know this doesn't belong to you. But for some reason, it gives you the satisfaction and the comfort that you need, the pleasure that you need, what you're looking for. And you know this is not your portion. But too many of us are being satisfied with what doesn't belong to us. And as such, the goodness of God can't manifest over our lives as it should. We can't see some good promises coming forth because we keep going into the path we shouldn't be on. We keep accepting the things God says to reject. Believer, shun the very appearance of evil. I don't know what the Lord said is yours, but you're not accepting that. Instead, you're accepting something else. Accept the will of God for your life. By the way, how did you get into that? It could be that you didn't accept the will of God. He came and he presented it, but you saw something else that you thought could have given you more pleasure and more benefits. Where did you get that, by the way? How did you end up in that? Stop accepting, believer, what doesn't belong to you. It's time for the believers to come out of misery and frustration and walk in the truth and peace of God. Stop accepting what doesn't belong to you, believer. So many of us are walking around with what doesn't belong to us. It's not ours. It's not a portion. But we came into agreement with it. Some words, some things that were spoken, and now we feel trapped. Some lies that we entertained. Help us, Lord. When you know the Lord, you know what he says about you. When you seek him, he reveals his truth to you. And when you trust him, you will know what belongs to you. Believer, it's time to receive all the good things that belong to you. Some good promises. You're not tired of frustration. Aren't you tired of ending up in the same old place, doing the same old thing and not benefiting in any way or form? No betterment coming. There are promises over your life, but you keep accepting what doesn't belong to you. And then you say God is not doing what he says he will do. And you're not accepting what he says over you. The contradiction, believer. We need to start waiting on that good thing that the Lord promised us. The good report. That is what we need to start accepting. The good promise that he said we should wait on. Wait on what belongs to you, my friend. Know what to accept and what to reject, especially in this time when some free good things are coming. But they're not of God. Believer, be careful of what you're accepting while waiting on God and trusting him for that next thing. Submit yourselves to God. Resist the devil and he will flee. James 4 verse 7. Put on the whole armor of God so that you can stand against the wiles on the schemes of the devil. Ephesians 6 verse 11. I had to tell you, be sober-minded and alert, for the adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. 1 Peter 5 verse 8. Don't give place to the enemy. Ephesians 4 verse 27. Do not accept what doesn't belong to you. Aren't you tired of the camouflage? Aren't you tired of the pretending? Aren't you tired of the thing that keeps stressing and distressing you? There's a promise over your life. Don't settle with wishes. Don't accept the fear. Don't accept the doubt. Don't accept the pride. Don't accept the lies. That sin that keeps putting you back at that place that you shouldn't be, stop accepting it. Believer, you can choose. I told my listeners this week that you can choose to accept it or reject it. Any spirit that comes to you, sometimes the spirit of insanity will come, and you have to choose if you want to agree with insanity or if you want to agree with soberness. You have to choose. You have the privilege to choose what you'll accept and what you'll reject. So many of us, we find ourselves in distress and we find ourselves in a very low place, not realizing we're accepting something we shouldn't. Stop accepting what you shouldn't accept. Stop accepting the wrong thing. God has goodness running after you. Allow the goodness to overtake you. Allow the good plans and the good promises and the good gifts of God to manifest in your life, believer, and stop accepting what doesn't belong to you. I had to tell you, for the consequences are too dire. You're still feeling ashamed. You're still feeling guilty. You're still feeling condemned. You're still feeling hopeless. You're still feeling fearful and confused because you're accepting what doesn't belong to you. You're still feeling weary because you're accepting what doesn't belong to you. Whatever spirit that is not of God that may visit you this week, today, if it's a spirit of hopelessness, the spirit of fear, the spirit of insanity, the spirit of suicide, you better not accept it. Stop accepting what doesn't belong to you. When you know what belongs to you, you will not live beneath what you have access to. Stop accepting what doesn't belong to you. Check what you have allowed in your heart. Check what you have allowed in your mind. Check what you're entertaining. The Lord is calling us out today. Out of the wrong promises, out of the wrong relationships, out of the wrong homes, out of the wrong jobs, out of the wrong situations, out of the wrong beliefs. Come out. Do not accept what doesn't belong to you. Seek the Lord about what you should be walking in, what he has given to you, so you can accept what he has given to you, is my word to you today. It's time for you to agree with the good things that God has promised over your life, and stop coming into agreement with what seems to be of God. So many of us are accepting the wrong thing. I don't even know it because we don't know what the Lord said. We don't know what the Lord promised us. And as such, we're living beneath what we have access to. Stop accepting the wrong thing.